Best news on the programme today is that Stephen Carroll is back from his holidays with the latest business news. Good to have you back with us once again, Stephen. You're starting with a major deal, aren't you, today, in the music industry?
And that's Sony that's taking a controlling stake in one of the world's biggest music publishers. That's EMI. It's going to include the rights to songs by artists like Queen and Pharrell Williams. The $2.3 billion deal will see Sony indirectly own around 90% of the record label. Now, it's a major investment in music by the Japanese conglomerate at a time when revenues in the industry are being boosted by streaming services like Spotify. The acquisition of EMI will add more than 2 million songs to Sony's database. Georgina Robertson has the details.
A back catalogue of music of over 2 million songs. With this deal, Sony becomes the biggest music publisher. An artist stable that already includes the Beatles, EMI brings with it some impressive names, including Queen, Kanye West, Pharrell Williams and Sia. The company will own 90% of EMI Publishing as it adds the newly acquired 60% stake to its existing 30%. Kenichiro Yoshida took over as CEO of Sony just last month. This is his first strategic move.
Sony has been handling the intellectual property rights owned by EMI Publishing. Once this deal is completed, Sony will become the world's largest music publishing company.
A company once famed for its trend-setting gadgets is turning its back on its hardware history and moving further into entertainment. This move is hoping to tune in to the recent success of sites like Deezer and Spotify. Music publishers like Sony look set to cash in on this boom in streaming services as music copyright values are on the up. In April, Sony reported a net income of nearly €3 billion for 2017, 7 times the amount posted for 2016.
Well, Sony investors weren't too impressed by that deal, and Tokyo shares in the company closed down almost 2% at the end of trading. We are waiting for details, though, on Sony's 3-year business plan later today. This was the picture on the Asian markets. A bit quieter today. Hong Kong and the Kospi and Seoul both closed for business, but falls on the Nikkei in Tokyo and on the Shanghai Composite. In Europe today, markets opening in the green, led by banks over across the board. Just the Frankfurt DAX seeing a quick dip into the red there. Keeping an eye on Italy's markets, the FTSE MIB today in Milan up by 0.4% at the open. That's bouncing back after that fall of around 1.5% on Monday. Of course, investors keeping a very close eye on the political changes happening there in Italy. We're also keeping an eye on the price of oil for you today. That's continuing to tick up as the US announced new sanctions against Venezuela and flagged harsher measures against Iran. Of course, 2 major oil producers, Brent crude just under $80 a barrel, slightly below the highs that it hit last week. Let's turn next to the bidding war for British broadcasting group Sky. It appears that Comcast's bid may have gained an advantage after the UK's Culture Secretary said the offer is unlikely to be referred to competition authorities there. The US cable giant is offering £22 billion, or around €25 billion for Sky, rivalling an offer from 21st Century Fox, which already owns 39% of the company. Fox's offer has faced long regulatory delays since an initial agreement was reached back in December 2016. A former engineer at ride-hailing firm Uber has begun a lawsuit against the company, claiming she was sexually harassed while working there. Ingrid Avandiano worked for the firm from 2014 until 2017. She says that she was denied promotions or pay increases because she reported misconduct at the company. Now, Uber didn't comment on those claims, but says the company has changed how it compensates and evaluates employees. The New York Stock Exchange is to get its first female leader in its 226-year history. Stacey Cunningham is currently Chief Operating Officer at the New York Stock Exchange. She'll become its next president. The announcement means that along with the Nasdaq, Wall Street's 2 biggest exchanges will now be run by women. And finally, for me, the Obamas are breathing new life into the small screen. The former President and First Lady of the United States have signed a multi-year deal to make programmes with Netflix. The agreement covers scripted and unscripted shows, TV and film, documentaries and features. The Obamas have a new production company set up for the task called Higher Ground. Now, Mr. Obama says he won't be using the platform to wage a public campaign against Donald Trump or to fight against conservative voices. We do already know that he is a fan of Netflix. He even tweeted back in 2014 asking for no spoilers on the next season of House of Cards. So I'm sure he'll be looking forward as well to getting down with the company too.
Perhaps he'll make his own version one day.
Perhaps he will.
Could be intriguing. Thanks a lot, Stephen. Stephen with Business on France 24. Dipty's here with the papers as well.